got some braking to do. I'll meet you at the finish line!
No, wait! Fix it! Get behind me!
One more!
I'm not through with you yet. Up we go! Oh, look at that, it's your little friend. Let's watch the sky together, shall we?
No!
It's game over for both of you.
No. Just for me. I'm bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be than me.
You fool! Why are you going into the lot? No, yeah, go into the lot.
Warning, F-bombs are armed and will be dropped eventually because I'm mandatory carry, not a human being. What the fuck you want? I mean, what do you expect out of me? On a related note, I do believe, Ozzy, that... Shit. One of these days I'm actually going to be something like a professional at this shit. The ninth circle is reserved for the greatest of all sinners. Yeah, I believe you. Hi, Michelle. Have you been here before? Somebody refresh my memory. I'm getting old. Okay. So Michelle and Ozzy are saying hello. I'm drinking root beer. Got my glasses on. God damn it! One of these days. Oh, that's right. I can't wear my glasses because I scratched up one of the lenses. And the people I invited are not going to make it. Big surprise, because I sent them the invite like 5 minutes ago. Worse still is I don't have a topic for this week, so I'm going to make some shit up as I go along. Hey, what is this? This is a shit show. We all know that. I got to switch over to the StreamYard. It's just not the StreamYard, but the YouTube chat, so I can read it. Okay, I stand corrected. Excuse me. Whoa, excuse me. That was very rude. Where was I? Okay. Interesting topic related to mandatory carry. First of all, I want to say that not only would this be illegal under Datislav Act, but it doesn't even make sense now. Right? And I'm not sure it's legal. But California wants to make a special tax on guns and ammunition because that's going to solve all of the problems. That's stupid. here's what's really going to happen. All right. The people are going to go out of state. They're going to take a little weekend trip to Vegas, Reno, uh, Portland. Not Portland. Salem? Eugene. Eugene. Weekend trip to Eugene. Maybe Phoenix, depending on where you're coming out of. Surprisingly enough, a lot of Idaho and Utahs. Well, it was surprising to me, at least. They'll buy bulk ammo there and take them back to California with them. On paper, you are not allowed to sell a firearm or ammunition to somebody from out of state if they have a California state driver's license. But if they don't have their, hey, Luke, if they don't have their state driver's license, if they have, say, their passport, there's not a whole lot that an Idaho gun dealer or an Arizona dealer, a whole lot of nothing, Nevada gun dealer is going to do about it. An Oregon gun dealer might be a little bit more particular. Depends on what part of Oregon. I'm just going to say this. Eugene, when I was there, was a very much a pro-gun area. Literally everybody had some sort of firearm. Not everybody had an AR-15. Let's be honest here. Hey, Squatch, check your email. Actually, there was a lot more AK-47 AK pattern down in Eugene than I thought should exist on Earth. Because, hey, it's more reliable. No, it's not. You're an idiot. But that's what you get for being a pot grower who samples too much product. Yeah, I said it. They have those AKs to protect their pot gardens that are literally everywhere. Okay, hold up, guys. We have a request. I'm going to see what I can do with it. Now, guys, I really am busy ranting. On these streams. So, okay. Let's show it for a moment. Michelle wants us to listen to Chevalier de Sangreal live in Prague. Chevalier? You know what? I'm not sure which way is the proper way to pronounce that. De Sangreal live in Prague. So I tell you what, I'll do that this time, Michelle, but this is a special one, okay? Because to be perfectly blunt, well, like I said, I'm busy ranting here. All right. I don't want to do that. I really, really don't want to do that. All right. We're going to do that towards the end of the stream, guys. Okay. I might go a couple minutes over. Probably not. Lily breaks silence. I'd like to break something on Lily, all right. I think we're going to do that one. Nope, we're going to do that one. when we get to that point. All right, back to work. There we go. Squatch, have you checked your email yet? Actually, I should probably stick my nose over here. Apparently not. Everybody, start berating Squatch. Tell him to get in, check his email. All right, here we go again. California wants to tax all firearms and all ammunitions under Datislav Act, which, by the way, folks, I had some clear thinking at some point, and I said to myself, wait a minute, I cannot trust other people to do this because they'll go off on some weird agenda of their own. I'll do the whole thing. So rather than having an amendment and an enabling act, the amendment is the enabling act, which is why it's now called Datislav. The whole thing is now just called Datislav. Oh, it specifically prohibits any special tax on anything covered, right? Yeah, obviously it's not, well, it says otherwise, but it doesn't say. The way I wrote it, brass knuckles, trench knives, flamethrowers, tasers, all of those things are actually covered, right? Those are all part of arms. It does specifically say the bearing of firearms. Yeah, okay, great. But that's not the end of it. That's not the only thing you are allowed to do, right? You're allowed to bear body armor. You're allowed to wear body armor because that's covered, specifically listed. As a matter of fact, at one point it was accidentally listed twice because I had the idea one day, I put it in there. A couple weeks later, I had the idea again and put it back in there. And then I realized, oh, it's in there twice. I probably should fix that. It's not supposed to be in there twice. But okay, it happened. All right. It specifically prohibits, prevents, does not allow any special tax on anything covered under Datislav Act. And in fact, it goes one big step further and says that if a municipality wants to tell a gun store, you know what, you're a gun store, we're going to let you go on your sales tax or your property tax, they can do that. They can absolutely do that. It does not go as far as I want it to go, which is that you would actually be able to put into your income taxes every year a deduction for anything you had to do to keep in compliance with the law. You got to go to the range twice a year, right? Because, well, let's just say state law for your concealed carry permit requires you to go to the range twice a year. Okay, fine. You go to the range twice a year, right? Well, now, twice a year, you would have to pay somebody $100, $50, $20. I don't give a shit how much to go through the range course or go shooting twice a year, right? Okay, fine. You could take that off in your taxes. You could take off the ammunition you bought for the year. You could take off on your taxes any new guns you had to buy for the year because you're keeping in compliance. What stopped me from doing that, and I have to give Fixed Bayonets credit. When she's right, she's really, really right. She pointed out that some people would just go out and buy 100 guns every year and then not pay anything on income taxes. just by buying up a bunch of guns. Ding, ding, ding. Ozymandias said it. Banning without banning sales tax sales into the ground sounds like a government program. Okay. But that's what they're trying to do. The power to tax is the power to destroy. That is actual Supreme Court language. Now, I must confess, and I hope somebody in the chat can remind me. I don't remember what exactly the case was, although it was a tax case. One of the counties, I don't remember which state, don't even ask me, was actually taxing the federal government for ownership of federal forests. All right. The county in question was losing a lot of money because they could not tax that property. Well, they were taxing the property, is the thing. They were sending the federal government a property tax bill, and the feds were ignoring it. They were just ignoring it. Things finally got to a head. This is really heavily wooded land. The county wanted and needed that money very, very badly. Right? I mean, this is a lot of money. Just clear cutting an acre every year would have meant a lot of money into the county's pocket. And nobody was allowed to do it because it was federal land. Things finally came to a loggerhead. And I can't remember if the federal government put that in their pleadings to dismiss or whatever it was that they filed, or if this was the Supreme Court's decision, language all on their own. But at the end of the day, the Supreme Court agreed the power to tax is the power to destroy. And a subordinate entity cannot tax a superior entity into non-existence, nor could the superior entity tax the subordinate entity into non-existence. As Ozzy pointed out, income taxes specifically is how they eventually did get Al Capone. He was living in a multi-million-dollar in 1920s money, which would probably be getting real close to the billions. In today's, well, it would be in the billions. In today's money, house on a couple $100,000 in income per year. How are you paying for this mansion, this multi-million-dollar mansion on an income worth less than 1/100th what the house is worth? I have good friends, I think was part of his defense. Part of his pleadings, rather. And through some interesting activity on the federal prosecutor's part, they got a conviction. Fuck you. I'll say it anyway. The prosecutor believed that the entire jury had been bought. And considering this is Al Capone, they may have been. And he threatened the judge into changing the jury by saying that he had evidence the judge had been bought. Right? If you've ever seen the movie, yeah, that part happened. Right? Whether it was real or a bluff, just the prosecutor said, we have evidence that you've been bought. Here's what you're going to do about it. And the judge swapped out juries with another courtroom that had just convened. So this new jury had not been bought. You ever go back and watch the film? I think it's Scarface. That part happened. Oh, hey, I bet I know what just happened. Somebody unimportant just arrived.
Good. When's he gonna get here?
He's been here for about 30 minutes, actually. Thank you, Ozzy. All right.
I was trying to play Minecraft, man.
Speaking of Minecraft, actually hold me to that. I want to talk about GLAX in a minute. I got some things to say that I hope that cocksucker chokes on. Did I say that out loud?
Probably.
Squad? Good.
I got a bunch of emails today, and you made
me
check.
Yeah. First of all, I made you check. Second of all, I just dropped it like 5 minutes before the stream started, so that's entirely my bad. Yeah. That was my fault.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like 5 of these are from the same person.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and it ain't you. I'm actually impressed.
It wasn't me for once.
Not you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I ever put that in my phone. Let me check.
So the power to text is the power to destroy, and I believe that Gavin Newsom's going to end up eating shit. Gavin thinks he's going to be president. Let me rephrase that. He thought he was going to be president someday until somewhere around middle or early last year when he started getting the hint that, yeah, everybody fucking hates you. Literally everybody fucking hates you. I've only seen that much hate for a sitting state governor in my own lifetime. No, Gretchen didn't even come close. No, Cuomo doesn't come close either. Actually, I've never seen that much hatred for a sitting governor in my lifetime. I've seen more hatred for a sitting president or other head of state. Hey, Squatch, do you remember the Romanian Revolution, roughly 87, when they hung Ceausescu?
I'll try not to.
You try not to. I vaguely remember it. I remember it in terms of, holy shit, there's no way the Whitmer. Thank you, Ozzy. There's no way the Russians are going to let that go on. They're going to kill everybody. And I was wrong. I'm okay with that. Okay. I have never seen that much hatred for a sitting governor. And I'm comparing him to Moonbeam's sister up in Oregon.
Bill?
What?
I have no idea, dude. Like what kind of weirdness are you putting on me right now? You know, I was playing Minecraft up until I got your demand to check my email, and now I'm here having a conversation about things I don't feel prepared for the class, dude.
No, that's okay. The instructor wasn't either.
Very well then.
I'm comparing Gavin Newsom to the governor of Oregon. She was hated before she even got into office. Like they literally did have to escort her in and out of the building because they really did think she was going to be assassinated her first year or so in office. They were wrong, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But considering they had to escort her in and out of the building to do her job because they thought she was going to be assassinated, I'm comparing Gavin to her as an example of somebody even more hated. It's got to tell you something. It's got to tell you just how hated Gavin really is. Even his own supporters are like, "Nah, fuck this guy now." Matter of fact, if you are from California and you went to the 2019 gun rights march in Sacramento, I want to say it was in September or October, you might have remembered the weird guy wearing the Revolutionary War sweatshirt who got into an argument in the park before the march. Well, no, that wasn't an argument, right? This was an old shipmate of mine. I just didn't recognize him after 5 years and having only met him once. So, yes, he was a little enthusiastic in his appreciation to see his old shipmate. Okay, but that doesn't make it an argument. And if you were there, ladies and gentlemen, you met Fixed Bayonets personally. I've never said that before, but Fix was there. All right.
Your Fix was in, right?
The Fix was in.
Yes.
That was beautiful. See, that's why I have him here, people. That's why I need him here. Wait a second. I want to try something.
Oh, no. You're the comic relief. I'm the straight man.
You're the straight man?
Straight-ish man.
Well, we all know I'm late and gay, so. Always late and gay. Come on, nothing?
Dude, it's been since the dawn of time, that game. What are you talking about? Why would you? No, nothing. Nothing at all. Not even a little thing.
F in chat for our poor Sasquatch and his loss of ability to be a proper troll. Where's my F's?
Retired.
You know, they're retired troll. Whatever. Moving right along. All right, so I have a feeling that this attempt to make this backdoor ban is going to go the same way that everything else that Gavin has tried to do, except blame every single fire on PG&E. That's been absolutely successful. Hey, Squatch, do you remember me uploading a video of a fire about 2 years ago?
Yeah, I asked you if you said it. You swore to me you didn't. Are you here to confess?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I did not set that fire either. That wasn't me. I swear. No. That was the one I took off of Papa Carey's front porch. And from like 10 miles away, you can still see the glow over the hills. It's that bad. They tried to blame that one on PG&E. That one, I don't know. Maybe they did that one. Maybe that was PG&E's fault. Oh, excuse me. But the rest of them, and I'm just going to go out there and say this. PG&E is what?
I find your lack of manners disturbing. Go ahead.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Happy now? PG&E is not the cause of the Paradise, California fire. They killed 82 people. There. I said it. I don't believe the conclusion that they came to. I'm aware that there's physical evidence. That's great and good and wonderful and all that crap. That's not what set the fire. I don't know who did or how. That's not how the fire started. And worse still is that fire was completely preventable if the state of California were taking care of the forests. That fire I just talked about that I witnessed off of Dad's porch would not have happened if the state of California were taking care of the forests. The Delta fire that was earlier the same year as the Camp Fire would not have happened if California were taking care of the forests. Yes, there would have been about an acre of scorched grass. That's it. It wouldn't have been over 500 homes destroyed, I think it was 4 people killed, nearly it's over 400 homes destroyed. 2 cities wiped off the face of the earth. No, I'm not even joking. One of them was McKinleyville, which was basically a mobile home park that had originally been built to build Shasta Dam and should have been abandoned afterwards. It wasn't. That happened. But the fire ripped through that town, and there was like every so often one house was spared, and then everything for a mile around it was destroyed. Half a mile around it was destroyed. And then there was another random house spared.
I got one for you. Back many years ago, I used to work with a volunteer fire crew for like not wildfires, but like controlled burn fires.
Okay.
But sometimes when we were like before we would go set a fire, we'd find out there was a fire going on and we'd go manage it instead.
Yeah.
This one time we had a fire that had gotten out of control of the local landowner. Fucking 4,000 acres or so on fire over there. And it's just it's a swamp, man. Everything around here is wet. So it's like the slow crawl through the understory that you actually want to have happen occasionally. So rather than try to stop it and put it out, we decided to shift our work from the quadrant we were working into this because it was already lit and seemed to be under control and everything was fine. Unbeknownst to us or the state or any other entity associated with us, there were a dozen cabins in those woods.
Okay.
All completely unregistered. Nobody knew they existed. The homeowner didn't even say a word about them. So we were managing the blaze through, and in the process of it burning through, 2 of the cabins burned down. The rest, fire just burned around it and kept on going. And I remember standing there, smoking a cigarette, staring at one of these cabins that had been there for probably 50 years. And it had burned. You could see where the original little yard had been because it had burned that area clean and flat, as if built to do that. You could see where the road was because it had burned that area clean and flat. But where all the trees had been, still had trees in it. It was really cool.
Okay. You just told me 2 of the cabins were taken care of and probably not abandoned. Or, 2 of them were probably abandoned and not taken care of. The rest of them were still being maintained to some degree, although...
Yeah.
I mean, the difference between a cabin and a tough shed is what you're using it for. So, I mean, there's that. I think a couple of years. Squatch, you know anything about this?
Let us see here. A couple of wildfires live from inside on site. It was in Georgia a couple of years ago. Yeah, no, that shit happens all the time, dude. About once a summer, we have a significant fire that gets out of control in some hinterland of Georgia. It's usually further south than north because north is a cloud forest. And even when it's droughty, it still gets a heavy dew.
Okay.
And a heavy dew in Georgia can wipe out a fire. I know that sounds a little wild, but it's just that when it rolls in thick like that, it soaks everything.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, then that's a real thing. I grew up in California. It was, there's two seasons, fire and flood. Only that now there's not two seasons. I'm really trying to convince Dad to get out of the state, but it was well brought up. Shame it wasn't. Shame Carrie wasn't. Oh, yeah. No. Do not try to blame that on my parents. That is entirely on me. I worked very hard to get the way I am. The universe worked very hard to get me the way I am. Moving right along. All right. So I got the feeling that this tax scheme is going to fail phenomenally. I mean, in ways that you cannot imagine, because the power to tax is power to destroy. And since that is the intended purpose of the tax, which, by the way, is not a new concept. This lawsuit between the feds and that county was predicated on something Alexander Hamilton said. Jesus, 1780s or 90s. Michelle, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. Folks, poetry means absolutely nothing to me. All right, it's empty.
Rollicking the slithy toads did go in the gumbo way, while mimsy with the buttergroves and the mom rats out grave. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub bird and shun, the firmest bandersnatch. Like that?
Yeah, only more. I'm not artistic at all. I'll be honest. I hate poetry in all its forms. Right. That's the truth. That's the way I am. Moving right along. This tax scheme is going to fail because power to tax is power to destroy. This attempt to destroy all the firearms industry by taxing it out of existence. The moment that sees the inside of the Supreme Court, it will be just game over. Once it gets to the point where it's being put to the Supreme Court, the state of California is going to back away and say, no, we know this is dead. If it actually gets to that point, probably will not. They will probably back off before that. Ironically enough,
I can't get chat to come up on my screen at all. I'm gonna have to trust your screen, which I don't trust. So, I'm gonna figure this out. Continue.
Okay, whatever. What ball did I drop, Luke? Gotta switch around here. Okay. And it's just another grift by Gavin to trick the people into thinking he's such a wonderful, perfect person. Oh, yeah, you're a wonderful, perfect person. Sure. Right. No, not even close. He's a grifter. All right. I've known this since at least December of 2002-ish. Well, I remember it was 2002, and it was late in the year because I was recalled to active duty in February of 2003. And I'm riding the bus because I had certain duties to attend to that required me to go into town. I'm not going to drive into San Francisco traffic if I can avoid it. So I'm riding the bus from the station into the city proper to attend to my duties. And there's this newspaper editorial. This is a local fish wrap. talking about how they had denied Gavin a mandate in his re-election for mayor bid. And I could see the writing on the wall there. This guy was going to be a problem. Well, he's been a problem ever since then. Okay, Luke. And he has been nothing but trouble since then. Not long after he failed to get that mandate, he did something very, very interesting. He demanded that any business, any company doing business in the city of San Francisco provide health insurance for same-sex partners. He didn't get what he wanted, so he threw a temper tantrum and took it out on the rest of the country. See, San Francisco Airport is actually owned by the city of San Francisco. It is technically the private property of the city. They can deny access for no reason at all, although having a reason always helps. Having an active aircraft runway is a pretty good reason by all measures. But anyway, by demanding that every corporation that does business in the city of San Francisco provide health insurance for same-sex partners as opposed to spouses as defined by law, which, by the way, was the law at the time, you forced all of these airline companies, which do business all around the world, to provide that everywhere on Earth. Are people starting to smell what he forced our feet into? Yeah, okay, thanks. Sorry, there we go. Open to the public. My grandfather once said, if you don't like Canadians, that's okay. You're wrong. If Canadians don't like you, that's okay. You're wrong. All right. We're going to get back to work. Speaking of grifters.
Hi.
Not you, you smartass. You're a troll, not a grifter. Have you made a single penny off of any of this crap? Yes, I mean you, Squatch.
My mama said I could have a cup of coffee.
Okay, so you have had a cup of coffee off of all this.
I'm getting one. My wife's going to make me one because I'm special.
We know you're special, Ed. I mean...
Just like that. Yes, sir. I'm also a well-kept pet.
You're a well-kept pet with a helmet. No, I have half of another channel followers on my ass right now because I publicly called out their God and Saviors or high priest, excuse me, publicly called him out as a grifter last week. Was it last week? Actually, I think it was last weekend. It doesn't matter. Whatever. The thing about it is, yeah, you're right. I did publicly call him out as a grifter. Now, the funny part is, he has a female partner. I have never liked her. Ever. The moment I found out that they were a team, I started getting really like, I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I want to deal with her. I'm not sure I want to deal with him badly enough to have to turn around and deal with her. The irony is, when I found out he was a grifter, I could at least give her the respect. You know what? You are an anti-Semite and a white supremacist, but bitch, you're honest about it, and okay, I can respect that. He's a grifter. He's not honest about it. I can't respect him anymore. And then I called him out publicly last weekend, and you know what? I don't feel the least bit bad about it. Fuck you, Daniel. Right? You and all of your little potato-y army, go home and go away. I've had to kick over a dozen people out of my Discord this week for joining just to start shit about that. Okay. If you are a grifter and you get called out on it, just accept that you got. All right? And move on. Don't send your little minions to go start shit for you. If you want to, if you really want to fight the battle, go find them yourself, or go deal with them yourself. And stop sending your little shitbag minions to come fight me for you, boy. That felt good, and I want you all to know it. All right.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Well, yeah. I'm just making sure that nobody can say I didn't say it.
You're one of my favorite features of my life, and it tickles me every time I think about it. No, I have a friend that I went to school with many years ago, and when she gets really, really drunk, she sends me pictures of noodles.
You told the story.
I love it. It's great. I just got a noodle picture.
You just got another noodle.
I guess she's. I don't know.
And you send her hamburger pics.
No, I send her pictures of Richard Nixon when I'm drinking.
Richard Nixon, that's right.
I got this one picture of him that's like real super sweaty. It's like one of the debates that he did in front of lights for the first time. And he's like soaked. He's soaked through his suit. It's horrible. It's a bad picture.
Wet dick pic.
Right?
You make my dick wet. You got my dick wet. This has gone a very interesting direction. Oh, that's probably the reason why I'm asking Samuel about that. Samuel, if you're watching, you got Squatch to blame for probably everything now.
Oh, sure. I do well with blame. Most people blame me for everything, even if they don't know me well.
Well, it's usually your fault anyway. Yes, they call them noodles now. Hey, Rob! Wow, hi, Rob. Hold up, folks. I want to emphasize something, people. Reciprocity is not a requirement to be around here. Also, competency on the
Hello, my outcast. Welcome to the show, Luke. Good to see you. Luke Wee.
Oh, yeah. Luke's been here almost as long as you have.
I think he's been here longer, a little bit.
No. You guys were like within days. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Where was I? Yeah, they call them noodles now. You should ask Roger Stone's tattoo artist for a pic. Roger Stone has tattoos? Whoa, wait a minute. This is a life-altering moment. Roger Stone tattoos. Roger Stone tattoo. Oh my God. This is not happening. This cannot be real. This cannot be really happening. No, it's not. That can't be a real pic. But I'm going to put it up anyway because I'm an asshole. And that's the way I am. Stop
But
that
let's be
screen.
honest. Let's have this discussion. Are you an asshole or are you a whole ass?
I'm a whole asshole.
Okay. Noted.
Tramp stamp, yeah, maybe. For the record, folks, I don't think that's real because it's in such perfect condition. It's like it's beautiful. It's like it was done yesterday. Well, yeah, somebody his age does not get a Richard Nixon tattoo. Right. That doesn't happen. So I don't quite think that's real, guys. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I might have a tattoo. Maybe.
I don't.
It might be a Tigger.
It might be a Tigger. You've talked about that. You have. Because Tiggers are wonderful things.
So I want everyone in chat to understand the irony of someone who runs a channel with a single topic telling me that I've talked about something before. Just enjoy that for a moment. Run with it. Frolic.
But you have talked about it before. He worked the campaigns in his 20s. Okay, it's real. Okay, Ozzy's saying it's real. I'm having some doubts here, guys. It's just so perfect. It's perfect condition after. Well, it's shit. I'm in my 40s. I know he was born. Like, he's older than Papa Carey. So Papa Carey was in his 30s when I was born. So that's a long time. By the way, for whatever it's worth, folks, I don't have tattoos. I have brands because I'm not normal. Moving right on.
I know the type. I had a buddy of mine. It was one of my best friends, and him and his brother both decided to brand letters onto themselves. And his brother did like this horrible, big, huge, enormous K. But Lonnie, he took a piece of like, no, dog, you'll get trapped. You have to go back out. He took a piece of like silver wire, like the stuff you'd make jewelry out of, and he made it up into an L, took a pair of pliers, heated it up, and laid down and laid it on his skin and just let it burn in. And you could see in the scar tissue the little coils of wire in the brand material.
Nice. He did a good job.
It was strangely aesthetic after a fashion, but I was there when he did that, and that man suffered for that scar.
Yes. Mine was done with baling wire and a blowtorch.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, he used silver because I had silver for making jewelry, and I was like, I'm not going to permit this bullshit unless you use at least sterile material. He's like, it'll be 10,000 degrees. It'll be sterile. I said, that's not the concern. I'm more worried about tetanus. If I can't stop you, use silver.
Wait, what?
You did. Well, silver is antibacterial as all get out just by itself.
Okay, you got. Well, I believe he is correct.
So, in the event that some of the material from the brand comes off in the burn, only, as far as I know, only silver is just accepted by the body and rejected over time rather than becoming an infection.
Ozzy asks, on a topic related directly to the channel, who is going to tell the anti-gun left radicals that first anti-gun laws were Jim Crow era to bar ex-slaves from owning guns? Well, first of all, Ozzy, I'm sorry to have to inform you of this, but the first anti-gun laws were actually from in the romantic world. That is, all of the countries that came out of Rome. At least the 1600s in colonial France. That's Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and a couple others that I'm not quite thinking clearly enough to recall. No, not Georgia. My bad. Georgia was always Inglés. Inglés? Whatever. Okay, so I'm pronouncing it wrong. But the first modern anti-gun laws were registries of black gun owners. I want to say out of Georgia and the Carolinas, but I might be mistaken on that specific detail. Excuse me. More importantly, he's right. The majority of, all of the first Euro gun control laws were to disarm blacks, and they would go to the absolute extent that if a black slave in colonial France was seen in public carrying a large stick, he could be shot dead right then and there. He could be shot dead right then and there. And the entire repercussion was whoever shot the man, shot slave, dead, would have to compensate the owner for the death of the slave. Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
Well, here's the thing. The slave wasn't registered as a person. It was registered as a piece of property with a given value. And it was the value that was sued against, not the person, property, or slave in this case. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm simply saying that was the litigious legal framework in which they were working. You got to remember, there's Southern Democrats too.
Well, and by the way, in case any of you should think to question or doubt me here, it was Le Code Noir by Louis the 14th. I think it was the 14th. Might have been the 12th. Uh-oh, Carrie might know what he's talking about. That history degree might actually be useful once in a while, huh? They all say that.
About history is, if you don't learn about history, especially the history in recent years, let's say the past 50, you are doomed to fall for the same traps of thought over and over again. All of this stuff that you're seeing going on in the news with the mainstream media and all of the major periodicals all towing the same line has happened before. It was just over 50 years ago. Seen it all before. Check out Yuri Bezmenov and learn. Be red-pilled into oblivion.
Try 80 years ago.
In Europe, 80 years ago. In America, it was 52 years ago when we had the brown shirts attempting to march on Washington and shit. Dude, socialists came hard at America, and they ran into they didn't realize the gravity of what they were taking on. You cannot corner Americans in the same box you can Europeans, because Europeans are so used to living shoulder to shoulder and elbow to elbow that they understand that, things get crowded sometimes. Americans can just move. We can go somewhere there's nobody, and we don't have those problems, which is something Europeans have a difficulty doing.
No, they don't. So, they do it all the time.
Yeah, but no matter where they move, there's some small village, some small council, some small township that has all kinds of crazy laws they have to learn when they move there. and none of them have the right to bear arms. So
No,
they just don't understand the struggle, man. They don't get it.
Ozzy, you're going to have to make a case for that. Calling Wilson a fascist is, especially since fascism didn't actually have ink on paper yet. That's a pretty bold statement. Moving right along. But yeah, Ozzy's right. The first, not just gun, any weapon control law was to disarm the slaves in general and black slaves in particular. It's not called the Code Noir because it applied to everybody. I'm just saying. Right. There was something.
Hold up. Wait a second. Woodrow Wilson could not possibly have been the first fascist president because Lincoln took a damn good swing at it.
Wow.
No, dude, hold up. Lincoln took a real hard swing at dictatorship. He did all of the necessary laws to completely militarize the police and all of the contiguous U.S., and we still haven't changed most of those laws. In fact, the Patriot Act redoubled down on a lot of them. So, like, you're you're gonna have to bring some better receipts than Woodrow Wilson on that one, man. He was a puppy.
Well, you just called Lincoln a fascist.
Dude, Lincoln, look at what Lincoln did. Lincoln took a vote that barely split his way and turned it into an absolute devastation of an economic system south of the Mason-Dixon with no consideration further than the fact that, well, we have to break up the plantations. Let's go after the slaves. It was a strictly business decision. If we get more slaves freed in the South, more slaves will vote. Get this, Lincoln was a Republican. More slaves freed in the South means more voters for freeing the slaves, right? So initially, Lincoln's plan was to go in, hit Virginia, hit North Carolina, hit Kentucky, and once they fold, he's got a majority in the House and the Senate, hands down open warfare. Sherman come along and said, no, sir, I don't like that. That would rip the country apart. We've got to do this quickly. Give me 120,000 troops and I will end this by Christmas. And he only went over by like 3 months. So the man knew what he was talking about.
There's only one problem with that theory. Would you like to know what it was?
Bring it. Swing it. Let me hear it.
In response to Horace Greeley's open letter in the New York Post, I believe it was, saying, why is the president considering this war that will kill so many of our young men over slavery? Lincoln said, if I could preserve the Union and free all the slaves, I would do that. If I could preserve the Union and free none of the slaves, I would do that. If I could preserve the Union and free some of the slaves, but not others, I would do that also. I will preserve the Union. And at the end of the day, guess what he actually did?
He turned a terrorist loose on the South to burn out babies, women, and children.
Okay.
This man murdered 130,000 people across Georgia, South Carolina.
I get that Sherman was an awful human being. War is hell.
I never said that. He was an effective soldier, and he made his job as simple as possible by giving as few moving parts.
No, he was a legitimately awful human being. You don't have to sugarcoat that part.
Not a good person, no.
But Lincoln freed some of the slaves and not others. Go back and read the Emancipation Proclamation. It specifically lists 3 parishes in Louisiana. Excuse me, 2 parishes in Louisiana and 3 counties in another one of the southern states that were exempt of the Emancipation Proclamation.
All right, hold up. He's got another page to that. All right, so it would be difficult to label Lincoln a fascist because fascism didn't roll around till almost 30 years after he died. So you can't really say he's fascist, but his mechanisms of government were virtually socialist before socialism was an actual economic thought process.
Stop. Ozzy and Squatch, both of you, stop. You can't say that Wilson was a fascist if fascism doesn't exist yet, any more than you can say Lincoln is a fascist if it doesn't exist. Now,
but I'm saying all of these people were on the same freaking path. They were not separate concepts. But go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. Because I want to move on to some good and beautiful stuff for a moment. Okay. So we're going to stop the screen. I'll show you guys something. Squatch, who was the first computer hacker?
Alexander Graham Bell. I have no idea.
That's actually a really good answer. I like that answer. It's wrong.
It is wrong, but at the same time, it shows the capacity of thought.
Anyway, another channel recently pointed to somebody from, I think it was MIT, who accidentally was the first computer hacker because he wrote the first worm. Computer worm. Watch this, guys, and learn something important because a man died for this. Okay, here we are. World War II, and the first ethical hacker, Rene Carmille, has been called the first ethical hacker for sabotaging the computerization of data about the French Jews during World War II. Now, we got to extend the word computer to something that modern people don't fully understand. The computers that Rene were working with were punch card readers. All right. And I'm not sure if it's actually... Okay, the electro-tabulating machines developed by Herman Hollerith in the 1890 U.S. Census was direct predecessor of the machines used to track down Japanese Americans for internment during World War II. Hollerith's punch card system, which stored coded information on perforated paper cards, was one of the foundations of the company. It became IBM, whose German subsidiary provided technology for the Nazi extermination camps against Jews and other perceived enemies. Now, stop right there. I don't want to hear one fucking word about IBM. Drop it and leave it alone. French experience in World War II is also instructive. Some credit Rene Carmille as the first ethical hacker because he stalled Nazi demands to get France's Jewish population registered by machine. He was one of the key public employees to pioneer the introduction of national registers during an era of industrial rationalization and growth of bureaucracies and military organizations. The work Carmille's National Demographic and Statistical Office did for Vichy was a national census collecting date and place of birth, marriages, divorce, blah, blah, blah. But nothing concerning religions. Whatever. Okay, so I'm going to just cut that short and tell you guys what he did. Stop screen. Present a different screen. I'm going to go back to the motherfucker. I'm going to go back to the motherfucker.
Yes.
No, not you. Motherfucker. Okay. Rene Carmille was an operator at a tabulation machine. Now, today, yes, it is. Well, it was a computer. It was a computer of the 1930s, as opposed to today. those same tabulation punch card machines lead to the computers of today. It's actually the exact same science. It's a yes or no. A light goes on or a light does not go on based on whether the card is punched there or not. Or today, if it's a ones and zero. But anyway, every person who was marked Jew, Renee noticed that their card would go up one particular chute. So he simply fixed the machine semi-permanently so that nothing would go up that chute. I want to say it was chute number 4. All the cards that went up chute number 4 were Jews. Those cards were collected. Those people were rounded up. And they were exterminated. Thank you, Ozzy. This is exactly how ENIAC worked as well. Those were the people who were exterminated. So he simply sort of fixed the machine so that nothing went up chute number 4 anymore. It took the Nazis a couple weeks to figure this out. They were like, all of a sudden we go from 10 or 15 cards a day to nothing. Where are all these cards going? What happened? Did we get them all? That's not what happened. What happened here? They figured out what Renee had done, and they executed him. Rest his soul in peace. He earned it. Because of him, 100,000 French Jews were able to get as little as 3 days head start on the SS to escape. They believe that as many as 250,000 were able, in the end, to escape. Okay, Ozzy, you're right. That's true so far as it goes. The hackers were the successors to the phone freakers. But more to the point here is Rene Carmel did it first. And to be perfectly blunt, he did it best. Yeah, it's believed as many as 250,000 people are alive only because of his one little hack. It wasn't even a big one. I don't know if he tightened a nut or he turned off a light. Because again, the cards work. There's a light behind it. If the card is punched at such a point, it lets the light through. So if you turn the light off there, the computer can't read it. It all of a sudden is as good as not being punched. Okay. Okay, Rob asks, who was he trained by to do such a job? Honestly, I don't know who trained Renee, but he in turn did most of the training. He was a very high level bureaucrat in the French government. He basically ran that off. Well, he did run his office, and he ran it the way he wanted to. No, Ozzy, that's not the correct spelling. Don't feel bad. I can't say it either. And no, Rob, it was not a common. It was a very anti-common trade today. Ironically enough, what he did back then was as rare as what he did back then is today. Maybe 100 people worldwide can run those old punch card machines. Damn it! I ran out of alcohol. We are at 1 hour ish. I just want to make a point of this, folks. Just because somebody is obeying the law to the letter does not make them a good person. And just because somebody is breaking the law to the core does not make them a bad person. And actually, I believe that was the correct spelling this time, Ozzy. It looks right to me. And it sounds out correctly, more importantly. Okay. I don't have to say any more to that. Okay. We're going to take a look at something real quick here, folks, while we get ready to decide what we do next. It's about 5 minutes, so we're going to wait a few minutes on that. Squatch, I used to do a reading from Dataslav every week, didn't I?
Yeah, that's the irony. But yeah, go with it, bro. That's what you want to do at your channel. You do it.
Ozzy, we're not playing that game right now. We are playing this game. And I'm going to play this game. I'm probably on about half those lists, Rob, because I am a veteran with a history of suicidal ideation. So I absolutely know I'm on one of those lists. Noble Eagle, I think is what they call it. Okay, guys, I hope that worked. I have no idea where I left off, because that was way the hell back in February. I'm just going to go ahead and read the preamble. No, Q Microsoft. This is not stolen. Go yourself with a rubber hose. Okay, so stop screen and present. Share screen, window. Just going to go ahead and read the preamble for today. All right, if you've been following me for a while, you know that my proposal is an amendment to the Constitution that will essentially repeal the Second Amendment as it exists now and replace it with this new amendment that will strengthen it to the point where nobody can ever tear it down, because it's literally part of the Constitution. Second Amendment revision, National Mandatory Carry Act, effective 8/8. The Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed and replaced as follows. A well-protected public being necessary to the security of a free state, the duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced strictly as provided for in this amendment. All right, from here south is 9 pages of this is all, guys, the amendment itself. All right. It is long. It is complex. It is very, very annoying to certain people. I'm okay with that, because I realize that if I don't do it now and take care of all of those little bits and pieces, in 200 years, somebody's going to say, oh, no, he didn't mean it like that. That's not what he meant. He meant in the, and it comes back to Judge Stevens' argument about the meaning of militia, or the meaning of the Second Amendment being for the militia only. That's not what they meant. Okay, you know what? Fuck you. Maybe they did mean that because everybody was part of the militia. Yes, wives and children were part of the militia. All right. I don't give a flying fuck if you like it or if you believe me. That's the way it was. So rather than risk a troll like Caucasian Sasquatch in 200 years saying that, no, that's not what he meant. What he meant was, I took care of everything. The simplest one I could think of. I call it the Maryland loophole. In Maryland, they tried to outlaw pepper spray, stun guns, mace, and 2 others. I can't remember what they were, because those weren't around when the Constitution was written. So obviously, that's not what they meant. A court in 2018, I believe it was, maybe it was 2019, finally said no. Like, folks, that's not what. They did mean those as well. You're not going to get anywhere. This law is unconstitutional. Get it off the books. But somebody somewhere will try it. Remove. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. Edge tab. Pop out chat. Okay. I never said you were lying, Ozzy. Mistaken and lying are 2 very different things. Rob, if it was so simple, then why are we even having this discussion? I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. Yeah, go ahead and hide it now. Holy Jesus fucking Christ. I had to tell StreamYards to hide it 4 times. Okay. I guess I'll let you in on a little bit more of the secret, because it's not actually a secret anyway. This whole thing started in 2014 as Barack Obama is pushing his assault weapons ban. I reached out to a Facebook page called Repeal and Replace the Second Amendment. Now, they have since changed their name to just Repeal the Second Amendment. I know because I went looking. Sometime in 2019, I think it was. Maybe it was 2020. Yeah, it wasn't 2020 because it was after because it was because of live streams. Okay. Anyway, I went looking for it, and they've changed their name. I went to them in 2014 and said, okay, make the case that I should support your position. Well, the answer I got was to accuse me of NRA boilerplate horse shit. Now, if you're familiar with Facebook and how its pages work, I can tell you that there's at least 3 different admins there, because this one had a very distinctively different writer's voice over the other 2. The other two had two, also, it's distinctively different writers' voices. And I noticed that that boilerplate, as I call her, I stopped seeing as much with her writer's voice in it. Yes, I'm going to tell you right now. I think it was a woman. All right. That boilerplate horse shit comment was literally the last straw. Before that, I wasn't a gun control supporter, but I understood the concepts. Back in 1995-ish, I was a little bit more, okay, well, let's try this and see if it works mentality. And by 1999, I could see that it didn't work. For those of you that are old enough to remember, Columbine was all I needed to know. This didn't work. This had not worked at all. But okay. Flash forward 2014, Barack Obama's pushing a new assault weapons ban with sunset clause. Okay. Now, that was an important detail in the 91 ban. I reach out to these guys. They say boilerplate horseshit. You know what? Fuck you. Now I know you're lying to me. About 3 or 4 days after that, I started Sarge, which was a group on Facebook. It still exists, although I should probably terminate that group because it's done absolutely nothing in at least 5 years. The whole thing was to actually, this is the part that pisses me off. I wanted to pull gun control supporters and gun control opponents together and say, okay, guys, hear me out. Let's at least write a new Second Amendment that would make everybody the least degree of unhappy. I made a very, very big mistake at this point. I invited one particular gun control supporter. All she did was flood the group with her troll buddies, including one who accused me of threatening the President of the United States. That was Barack Obama at the time. And that he was going to call the Toronto Secret Service, Toronto, Canada. This guy was so fucking arrogant that I said, okay, which Toronto? He said, Toronto, Canada. Where do you think I'm talking about? Okay, well, there's Toronto, California. There's Toronto, New York. There's Toronto, Ohio. There's Toronto, Texas. But you expected me to know that you're Canadian. Okay. Aussie. My grandfather was not always right. There are some Canadians that need their balls kicked up between their eyeballs. All right. But anyway, I was in Salem, Oregon at the time. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I got to drive all the way to Toronto, Canada to address this shit? No, I'm not doing it. I called Portland Secret Service office because that was the nearest one to me at the time. I spoke to the duty watch, which was just the guy who answered the phone. Okay, I don't know if he was a Secret Service agent or not, to be honest with you. I said, here's what's going on. I want to get ahead of this thing before it becomes an issue. I'm going to be at Chemeketa Community College for the next couple of hours. You want to send somebody to come get me? Send somebody to come get me. Right? Well, that was 2014. This is 2023. That's 9. Okay, let's say 8 years. 8 years and change, because I remember it was fall of 2014. I still haven't even heard back from the email address that he was operating out of. Probably is retired by now. I would absolutely be shocked if he was still there now. And I have not been asked by a single cop to explain myself on this matter, despite the fact that I've dealt with cops under several situations, some of which were less less friendly. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. Ozzy explained a lot. Canada disowned Toronto long ago. Really? Okay. You can say goons here. You know what? No, I want to highlight this because after what we saw during the trucker rally, to call RCMP a bunch of SS Nazi SS is an insult to Nazi SS. Oh yeah, I said that. You every last one of you should be ashamed. Bare minimum, resign. I got my real opinion of what you people need to do. Find a permanent solution to your temporary problem. But bare minimum, resign. Okay. Calm down, Carrie. All right, I'm going to chill here for a couple of minutes, and then, Michelle, we're going to do your music. In the same vein that we've been working in. First of all, chill means you're paid to do this. I'm not being paid to do this. All right? I bet you $1 if you reach out and ask them, they will tell you that they would really rather I not do this. Having said that, I am a more or less enthusiastic supporter of InRange's What Would Stoner Do gun. More so now than I was when it first came along, mostly because GWAX Armory came out and tried to sue them to prevent the development of the gun any further. Now, if you've been following this this shit post of a legal proceeding, that's all it is. It's just a shit post. You'll know that GWAX filed an injunction to prevent Brownells and InRange from producing any more of the guns, right? Or selling any more, for that matter. I believe is part of the part of what they're asking for. I'm going to set aside what happened with GWAX until they show up. There's no patent application. There's never been a patent application on what became the Stoner gun. Furthermore, what Ian and Carl did was they took the GWAX concept and they basically overhauled it to the point where it's as much GWAX's claim of proprietary of intellectual property as GWAX's claim that the Colt AR-15 is their proprietary information, their intellectual property. It's a fucking ridiculous claim to make. If anybody has a complaint, it would be Colt Armaments. They own the AR-15 patent. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, and I don't even know where they conjured this shit out of. The idea that the process is an intellectual property is ridiculous because it's been around since before I was born. I know because toys I played with when I was 1 and 2 and not even a year old yet. I remember enough. Well, I remember my second Christmas. There was a train that played this dial music thing, whatever. That's not important. What is important is I remember the train itself, and it was a 2-part plastic thing that they put together as a monolithic train engine with the pieces inside of it. They put all of the pieces together, all of the inside pieces together. Then they put it on a rack or something so it would hold still long enough to put the 2 halves of the shell together, seal the shell, and now you got a train. Pop the engine or pop the wheels on, put the battery cover, the battery cover in place, put it in a box, sell it to Mama and Papa Carrie to give to their kids for Christmas so that the kids could drive everybody insane playing the music over and over and over again for 4 hours. That was me. I did that. I know it. I'm okay with that. And then your uncle shows you how to get the music to play again just by pushing the train very hard. Oh, well. Okay, so that happened. That's on him. He was an adult, Kim. Oh, Samuel is here? Oh, damn, Sam, I'm sorry. Thank you, Sam. I was not paying enough attention. I'm sorry. Because I was really getting into my groove of my rant. Okay. So this idea that the 2-part monolithic lower receiver is proprietary is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Oh, I should ask Dad about that train. He told me that story 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't think it would be important until I saw something by who was that? Oh, never mind, because I'm not actually supposed to have been able to see that yet. Somebody related to the case. Somebody knowledgeable of the case. I guess I should say. But moving right along. What the hell was that?
It wasn't me. Wait, maybe it was me. Yes, I just got a Windows update.
Okay. Wasn't somebody coming in?
No, it was, this is the first time I've turned my computer on in like, I don't know, 4 days.
Rob, remind me never to invite you to my house for Christmas. Moving right along. So yeah, it's a totally ridiculous argument. It's absolutely fucking failed on its face. Now, here's the reason why I really, really, really want to ask all of you to help in range fight this battle. All right? Are you ready? The point of this lawsuit is to create this to pick the lock on gun manufacturers by GWAX establishing they have a claim to AR-15 in any way, shape, or form means it'll shut down any ability of other people to do the same thing later on by creating a litigious environment, bare minimum. But more importantly, they're claiming these monolithic polymer receivers as their intellectual property so that nobody can use that in the future. That will shut down Glock and a half a dozen others. I don't want to hear about it, Rob. Don't even say it. Right. Shut down Glock and a few others. Okay. Oh, Caltech. Although Caltech is usually not monolithic, they usually, or at least mine, the two halves are bolted together. But moving right along, somebody else will come along and do the same thing that G-Wax did to metal frames, to aluminum frames, to steel frames, to this, to that. Give this process about 5 to 10 years, and there won't be any way to manufacture guns anymore because all of those methods are now owned as proprietary technology. We need to shut this case actually down entirely by every means necessary, short of violence. And to be perfectly honest about it, I really want to see this guy. What the fuck was his name? The guy who supposedly owns G-Wax now. I really want to see him in prison where he belongs for fraud and Squatch, what's it called when you lie to a judge?
Perjury.
Perjury. Thank you. Fraud and perjury. So, if you have a couple dollars to give,
well, shit.
Well, shit, nothing. If you have a couple dollars to give to Carl to help him fight this battle, send it to him with a note saying "fuck you" or "fuck G-Wax," right? Just like that. We need to fight this battle. We need to end it sooner rather than later. The longer this drags out, the more messy and longer the cleanup will be. It's as simple as that. Yeah, you're being good only because I told you. I didn't want to hear about it. Okay. So we're going to stop that screen. This is a one-time only thing, guys, because Michelle was the first to ever ask this specific thing. We're going to go ahead and do it. Present, share screen. Part of the reason I don't like doing this, guys, part of the reason, is because this process of getting something on this, getting something up is kind of difficult. Ooh. Well, at least it's... Oh, what the hell? What happened? Really? Like, really, Susan? Do you really hate us that much? Sorry, guys. We're having not really technical difficulties. Susan's just being a bitch. We love you, Susan.
Susan is not there anymore, bud.
All right. Yeah, she's still there for a bit. Okay, guys, we're going to her resignation was not effective immediately. Really? Hey, when does her resignation take effect anyway? Oh, Chris is live right now.
I thought it was effective immediately.
No, not quite. Okay. Let's try this all over again. Can you hear that, Squatch?
Yes.
Okay, that was pretty. You're welcome, Michelle. Speak for yourself. Who still owes you $20, Rob? If it's we love you, Susan, you know goddamn well you're never gonna see a penny of that. Okay, we're up to speed. All right. It's the last 15 minutes. If you are out there and you do not ask a question at this point, I am going to yell at you. A relevant question, you know who you are. And no trolling, you know who you are too. Especially you, Squatch.
Retired.
You're not that retired. Trolls never retire. They just go.
No, sir, you are incorrect there. There are old trolls and there are bold trolls, but there are no old, bold trolls.
I know an old bold troll. She's fucking hell on wheels. Matter of fact, right now she's down in Texas plotting her next act of revenge against me personally. Probably by finding my porn video and uploading it to BitChute. Yeah, BitChute. Yeah, see, Ozzy agrees with me. He says you're only semi-retired.
I only operate in amateur capacity at this point.
Say again?
I only operate in an amateur capacity at this point.
Well, there's no such thing as a professional troll.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Well, best I just remain happily ignorant right now. How do you get paid to troll people? How does this work?
Carefully.
Carefully, okay. Oh, you mean blackmail? Give me money or I won't go away.
Let's just say that the halls of power have more vessels than mere money.
Uh-huh. So in other words, give me money or I won't go away. Give me money to go away. Got it. Good. You know, Rob, I'm really looking at you. I know you have questions. And they're annoying questions because I've answered them a million times. Do it anyway. Piss me off. See if I give a shit. Moving on. Oh, no. Now I know why I can't read it. I had to shrink it all down because we love you, Susan, is a cunt. Okay. Ozzy has a great question right there. Short question. Who, according to you, should not own guns and should not ever get those rights back? Okay. We've got to break this question up into who can never, ever, ever end a discussion and who may someday possibly be able to. Under the first category, there is one. There's literally only one who would never, ever be able to get to own any weapon. Right? I actually wrote it exactly that way. Shit. Sorry, guys. Okay. That would be violent political protesters. Now, I wrote this with Antifa in mind. but it's pretty clear that Antifa is not the only ones. There's the KKK, there's the neo-Nazis. There's 100 others, right? And I believe I was careful with the wording there, which I'm not going to share the screen right now, but I am going to read it verbatim. Background penalties, other provisions. Okay, mandatory exemptions. Membership in violent political organizations. Any person convicted of instigating or aiding a violent political protest or a protest intended to create violence, even if no violence occurs, or interferes or attempts to interfere with voting, peaceful assembly, emergency services, or public safety personnel, or elected or other public officials in their performance of their duties, shall be prohibited from bearing any weapons or any item determined by a peace officer to be intended for use as a weapon. This exemption shall be imposed and explained at time of sentencing and shall remain for the duration of their lives unless the individual has had said conviction expunged, completed an additional 10 years without further political protests, and completed anger management training. Pause. Yeah, that anger management training was just kind of another big fuck you. Moving on. While this exemption is in place, exempted under this section are forbidden to vote in any election for public office holder or hold any public office. So it's not just guns. It's anything. If the cop thinks that stick is too big or too clumsy to be a walking stick, or if the cop just doesn't like the number of keys you have on your ring, you're fucked. Literally anybody else on the list could get their duty to keep and bear arms restored. There's some people that it's a pragmatic impossibility. For example, somebody who is mentally incompetent, IQ equal to or less than 80. They may never. It's not that they're evil, bad people. They're retarded. It really is as simple as that. Their mind may never be able to work so that they can operate a firearm or a knife or bathe or dress themselves. Right? That may never happen for them. They may never be able to recover from that. That's okay. You're not an evil, bad person. Whatever it is that is that way for you, or for them, I should say, that's the way they are. Let them go in peace. People say that I'm mentally unstable and I shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. Okay. No, I am perfectly mentally stable. I am capable of explaining my actions in court, including the many, many times now that I have told people that they should find a permanent solution to some temporary problems. And if you think that's the worst thing I've ever done, not even close. Ask Squatch.
No comment.
What?
No comment.
Oh, no comment. Yeah, he doesn't want to admit to knowing what I can really be like. And I wouldn't blame him either, folks. But moving right along. Let's say, though, that I am actually crazy and unable to explain myself in court. Okay, fine. It is the thing that it is. Let us now assume, for the sake of argument, that with therapy and drugs and treatment, I get back to the place where, I'm fucked up. And I probably still need help, but I am able to explain my actions in court my duty to keep and bear would be restored. By the way, I have already been there and done that, people. I have been in that situation where, you know what? I shouldn't even be trusted with a butter knife. That was 2003. Everything from about everything from about late June to roughly early October of 2003, I was not in a very good headspace. I probably shouldn't have been trusted with a butter knife or a pair of scissors. Irony being that being in that headspace is the reason why I don't chew my fingernails anymore. I cut them. I still cut them to the quick, but I cut them. Let's see the other. Felons. Felony convictions is one of the mandatory exemptions, and mandatory exemptions have to be granted or imposed via a court. I'm actually thinking about splitting mandatory exemptions up into two separate things. One's where you were a bad person and you are a bad person, and that's why you're exempt. And one's where you're not a bad person, you weren't a bad person, but you're still exempt through no fault of your own. Either way, all of these require a court to say, yeah, we agree, this person's exempt. Felons have an exemption, but they can also get their duty to carry restored. And because I'm a pissant little, it rhymes with maggot, and I'm not really supposed to say that word on stream while I'm live. I wrote it in such a way that you cannot get your right to vote restored until you have your duty to carry restored. I should go back and make sure that that'll stand the test of time, but you cannot vote if you do not have a duty to carry. You can't get it back until you've completed the other. Every state has different standing. You know, there's some crimes that in all 50 states, if you're convicted of that, you will never vote again in your life. That's already murder. If you're convicted of first-degree murder, even if because of extenuating circumstances, you're not eligible for life without possibility of parole or reprieve. Parole, actually. You could get out in 25 years. You still will never vote again in your life. All right. But all of the others, and by the way, I'm sure there's at least one state. Okay, California. We all know it's California. The moment you're out of prison, your right to vote is restored. Won't be any more. You cannot vote until you have your duty to carry restored. I should tell Gavin to go fuck himself in some not unclear terms. Squatch, how about you ask the last question? Since everybody else really got silent all of a sudden.
This because they are busy with their significant others and their dogs. Last question. So this has been kind of petered around in my brain for a while, and I haven't quite figured out how to phrase it, but I'm going to give it a shot. All right. So something on fire? Okay, I think we're good. So you have the duty to bear arms, and you can exempt out by opting out, right? But it has to be approved by a judge for you to say, "Hey, I don't want a gun. I don't think I should have a gun for whatever reason." Blah 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 blah. But the judge has to agree. Hypothetically speaking,
hold on.
doesn't agree.
I've got to ask: Are you saying that you personally do not want to carry a gun? And
Right.
that's it?
Let's say for whatever reason,
Okay.
I'm not specifying a reason, simply I don't want to carry a gun. I shouldn't have to. I don't have one. I don't want one. I'm not going to. What then?
Special. Go ahead.
That was the question.
Oh, yes,
How
that does
does one
exist.
opt out without it having to be a judge thing? Do you have to go before a judge to just say, "Hey, I don't want a
Nope.
gun"? Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, you would have to go to a. Okay. There's a big fancy word here that I don't remember. Somebody I served with at the PSU, who is a federal judge, would know what this term is. But basically, when you go to the courthouse to pay a traffic ticket or a parking fine, the girl behind that glass, she's actually the judge. She's the judge for the very specific focus of parking tickets only. And you can say not guilty. You can say guilty and hand over the money. You can this, that, and whatever. Right? And I want to say he called them process clerks. You know what? Whatever. Doesn't matter. You go to the courthouse, you go to the processing clerks and say, my name is Mandatory Carry, and I want to file an exemption to mandatory carry. Irony, I suppose, because I'm special and I don't think I need a gun. Okay. That'll be $200, sir. And it is an extraordinarily and ridiculously steep amount because I wanted to make sure that people didn't think it'd be cheaper to pay for an elective exemption than it would be to just get a gun and use it and be ready to use it. That's the reason why I said it so ridiculously high. I would raise it even higher, but right now I'm not ready to do that. By the way, I did want to set it in. You'll go sooner or later. We'll get back to it. Failure to carry as required is a ridiculously high penalty, but it's still cheaper to pay the fee for an elective exemption than it is to pay the fines for failure to carry as required by an order of magnitude, which means a whole decimal point difference. Of course, it's still cheaper to just obey the law. That answered the most of your question there, Squatch?
Yeah, that handles it.
Okay. Now, can I ask you a question related to this?
Absolutely not. I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions?
Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, are you required to wear your seatbelt
Everywhere
when
you
you
go.
drive? Everywhere you go. Okay. Is there anywhere in the entire United States where you can drive without a seatbelt on?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, where is it?
You are not required to wear a seatbelt on tractors, farm equipment, heavy equipment, most of your yard equipment. And if you are on private property in an unregistered vehicle that does not travel on public property, then you're not required to wear a seatbelt.
Okay. That must be a Georgia
It might be.
code section. All of the states I've ever been to, if you are on a public road in a vehicle that has seatbelts, you are still required to use them.
Yes.
That means farm
Public
equipment. Yes. That includes farm equipment. And on private property, you are required to wear your seatbelt unless it is for the purpose of driver training. Okay, I'm going to interrupt my own little rant here for a second. Yes, Ozzy, there is a conscientious objector clause. It's actually the one before elective exemption, and you have to go through a process to get it. But it is free. I want to emphasize conscientious objector is free. Okay, and he's correcting my language. Apparently, the term is magistrate. Okay, I stand duly corrected. And I will forget it. So thank you, Ozzy. All right. Tell me, where in the entire United States can you go and drive on public road in a vehicle that is equipped with seatbelts without wearing your seatbelts by paying for a little sticker in your window?
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing anywhere. This is the only place on Datislav Act is the only place on earth you will find something that says you can flagrantly ignore the law if you pay the fee in advance.
I don't know about that. If it's punishable by fine, it means it's legal for a cost.
I didn't say, well, okay. All right. We're not going to get into this libertarian argument here, Squatch. You can pay the fee, flagrantly ignore the law. Just totally, and walk around with a t-shirt that says, I am exempt under mandatory carry because I'm a millionaire. You can do that. It's a stupid thing to do, but that's okay. You're allowed to be a fucking retard. And at that point, you probably have prima facie evidence of a mandatory exemption, but let's move on past that for the moment. This is the only place I know of where you can pay a fee and just flagrantly blow it all off. I'm just saying. Oof. Okay. All right. Ozzy's correct. Buses are exempt from seatbelt laws because buses are not typically equipped with seatbelts. I haven't seen a city bus ever that was equipped with seatbelts. And until my last year of high school, I had never seen a school bus that was equipped with seatbelts. What? Or was Ozzy, email me. We'll talk about it. All right. So there's the questions for yes, conscientious objectors are exempt. No, only violent political protesters are exempt and will never, ever, ever become unexempt unless you literally go to the court and say, Your Honor, this thing never really happened. All right. I was framed. I can prove I was framed or whatever. And yeah. All right. So we're at 2 hours and 9 minutes. I have not gotten yelled at for starting early again. Child molesters would probably be felon anyway, so I'm just saying. I did not know that was how that word was spelled because I've never actually seen it in writing before. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. For God's sakes, come up with some questions. I do this every week. I say, ask me questions. Please ask me questions. That's why I do this. I want to hear the questions. I want to have a chance to hit the questions. No questions, no point to the live streams, guys. You're helping me. Help me out here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, keep calm and mandatory carry on.